Well, I really don't want to be here.
Are we rolling right now?
Billy talked me into this.
All right. We are rolling. We are rolling.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring's like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the
So Dan doesn't want to be here. That's good. That's a start.
No, what I meant was this is my idea. And it's a good thing that I talked Billy into being here along with Andrea and Lauren. Hey, Lauren, you're here too, right?
Hey, yes, you'll be able to hear my voice every now and then.
Oh man, I just love this though. I think it's such a neat idea that Fort Wayne doesn't have.
I agree.
And it's like we can bring on some guests and feel this thing out today. I mean, today is like, I've never done a podcast. I've never done anything like this. The
I
only
just
thing,
started listening to podcasts.
right? And the only thing, Dan's done around this area is play the drums.
Yeah, which really doesn't count.
So this is all new to us. I think it's a good fit. I mean, we have business people here. We have
The largest manufacturer in Northeast Indiana.
yeah,
Braylon
thank you.
Laser. What more can you ask for?
Thank you.
But you're
and-
the largest manufacturer, though, with all your companies
Yeah,
combined,
with
right?
9 different manufacturing, plastic, metal,
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah, and I think I think it's important also to note that we're at Sweetwater Sound, and Sweetwater freed up this
Studio A.
studio for us to do our recordings, and it is an absolutely spectacular studio. We want to thank Don Polly from Fairfield Galleries for the furniture that we're using today. I don't know if the chairs are from Don, but the tables are from Don, but the chairs are, and so we want to thank everybody that helped us out today and making this possible.
well, good. We got our sponsors out of the way. That's a
Thank
start.
goodness.
We can't forget that. First things first, right?
Right, exactly.
So I think the biggest question is, why are we here? What are we doing here? I think that's a big question that I ask myself when we started talking about this, is what's going to lead us to make this community better, right? Mm-hmm. So Dan, I'm gonna start with you. Like, what are we doing here?
I have no idea.
I just called you one day and said, Dan.
Yeah, well, obviously this started with you, and you contacted me and said, hey, what do you think about this idea? So we've had a few meetings prior to this, and what we, at least from my perspective, this is an opportunity to kind of do what we already do, and that is to bring guests in, interview those folks, chat with them, get their thoughts on what's happening in their world, and that's pretty much what we do in our publications as well as our online media. And so, to me, it's an opportunity to bring the community in for a close-up view of the guests that we're going to have, so they can learn more about those folks and make our community a better, more well-connected place.
I love that.
I do too.
I think that's very well said. And I mean, the only thing I can add to it is really like, I feel like everybody wants to be an inspiration to somebody, whether that be your kids, whether it be, someone you just meet, right? And I think that people can learn from each other more than we can ourselves. So, not to get too deep with it, but I think that's a big goal of ours, is like bring people on that are different, interesting, and like, all right, how did you get to be so successful? Or how did you become such a good dad or whatever? You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that like that's part of our goal, is to bring this little circle into the outside world as well. But keeping in mind that life, everyday life is important. It's not, that's why we're here. Right. So
Right.
I don't know. That's kind of the way I feel like, and it might be, we get into some of the good stuff, bad stuff, and the ugly stuff,
Yes.
who knows?
And the funny stuff.
And the funny stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
I agree. To me, it's inspirational when you can hear from people who have achieved some level of success, whether that be in their career or their family life or both. And so it's to me, it's very inspiring when, in fact, I wish I had heard these types of things when I was a young person, as maybe a teenager, where I could hear from somebody who has made their life a really, really good life by the choices they've made. Because the converse is true as well, that you make the wrong choices and your life won't turn out so well. And so when you hear these folks that are doing things the right way and they've worked hard and they continue to strive to make their lives better, that would have meant the world to me back in my youth.
Yeah, if you hear somebody's mistake or somebody's like success, you're like, oh, maybe I should follow that instead of going down this wrong way, right?
Sure.
And so we're gonna, obviously we want to have fun with this and make it lighthearted and everything, but at the same time we want to educate and entertain, right, Lauren?
That's right. The two words.
Yeah,
The
so
two big words.
those are the big words. So we want to do a little bit of everything here, and we've been, I think, set up for success here. We just came in here. We're like not really sure what we're gonna do, but
Right.
Sweetwater put us up to the nice Studio A, and we're like, I mean,
so nice.
I've never had a mic like this in my face before, but I guess now I know that when I say something, it's going to be recorded and I'll never get it back. Is that how that works?
Can't
I'm
think
on,
like that.
I'm on
Can't
camera
think
now. I don't know.
Right, exactly. Right.
So watch what I say, or is that how that works?
I'm going to have to ask your wife if she has any questions she wants me to ask you while you're on record.
It might be.
We
yeah, it might
want
be
to
cool.
know. We're
Yeah,
looking
we
at
wanna know.
very successful people in this room. We want to know about you.
We're going to dig a little deeper.
Why are you sitting in this chair?
Yeah.
How'd you get here?
This is stupidity. Is that where?
No.
I think the reason that like I wanted to come on the show and do the show and it's because of what I want to be, say 30 years from now or whatever. It's like right now I'm a dad and a husband. We have 2 kids, one more on the way. I want to be an inspiration to them. I also want to outline of course, what I've been through, growing up and stuff, started out just like mopping floors, cleaning floors and machines and stuff in the factory because we're a family owned business. And I think that helped form who I am today is because you start humble and try to get
Absolutely.
things, you got to work for things, and I think that's huge. And it kind of led me to my entrepreneurship type feel of life. You want to make companies better. You want to, entrepreneurship's funny. It's like they made the word so hard to spell, so hard to say. And that's probably why people start up companies, right? It's hard work. And
it
so
kinda fits, doesn't it?
It kind of fits, right? And I took a minor in it and I'm like, I can't even spell the damn word. First cuss word right there, right?
Right, exactly. That tequila's kicking in.
Yeah, right. Outside of that, I think that it's like it's the community feel. It kind of full circles: family, work, community, right? And you want it also fun. Can't forget to have fun. But I don't know if this is a good way to put this, but like I'm on a few boards and I'm like kind of bored of the board feel. You know what I mean? Let's get out and like do some things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I like it.
I don't know. That's kind of why, in a nutshell, I'm doing this.
I like it.
How about you, Dan?
Good reasons.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I understand the question. Lauren, repeat that question, will you please?
What do you think?
Oh. What do I
Do you
think?
think? Maybe is the question.
Do you think?
Do you think, Dan?
That's
yeah.
a loaded question.
It is a loaded question.
Because he's got a lot of thoughts. So
Yeah, well-
which one is he going to pick
Why
from?
are you sitting in this chair today?
Yeah, because again, Billy brought it to me. Bill brought it to me and asked if I'd be interested in this idea, and of course I am. It honestly it fits with my personality. I enjoy learning about people. I enjoy visiting with them. I enjoy learning from them, and I really believe that that's what's going to happen in our show as we move forward with it. That there will be lots of things to learn, and lots of new relationships being built, and that's how I've lived my whole life is building relationships, learning about others, and in this case, even in my professional life, sharing those people with the community at large. And I'm here because it fits perfectly for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't steer too far off, right? From what you do to be here.
No, it's very close.
Yeah.
It's
I was kind of I wasn't joking. I was like, you guys are the pillar. Business People is the pillar of Fort Wayne. I mean, it's like you guys have how many news followers? I mean, like,
well, we have it depends, but for instance, our Business People magazine,
Yeah.
that publication has about 75,000 readers every month, and it's readers throughout the northeast part of the state. So that's a pretty big audience.
Wow.
And so when we send those magazines out every month, they get great exposure. And that's doesn't count the people that see it in a digital format. But I don't know those numbers at this point. But we have a big audience, and I'm hoping that we get just as big an audience for this podcast as we have for our publications.
I love it. I love it.
I think it's going to be larger.
Maybe it'll be bigger. Maybe it will.
I just think that's huge. I mean, 75,000, people. That's more than voted for the mayor this past month.
I didn't even see the numbers.
Yeah, it was like 50,000. I'm like, we got 260,000 people in Fort Wayne, I think.
300.
300?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also pretty cool that we're like the first podcast digital show that's bringing on guests in Fort Wayne. I mean, from my understanding, I don't think anybody else is doing this.
I don't think so. But you mentioned the mayor. He'd be a great guest.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a lot of fun to talk to.
There we go.
Yes, he's a great guy. So at
I'll
some
work
point,
on this.
Yes.
at
Yeah,
some point,
please.
we need to get him.
Okay,
in here.
so how long have you all lived in Fort Wayne?
Since I was born.
He's a native.
I'm a native, so.
So 21 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Andrea, how about you?
Oh, geez. Well, I don't think the question's for me, but I've been here for probably 45 years.
And you never wanted to leave?
No.
Exactly.
I
right?
know.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're right. Like my son's in Indianapolis, and I love going to visit him, but it's like, it's cool, but they don't really do anything different than we do here. Mm-hmm. So that's the interesting thing to me. It's just bigger.
Yeah.
They live in Broad Ripple, so it's kind of a cold burb, but at the end of the day, they still do the same thing we do here, and it's just cheaper here.
Right.
Exactly.
More affordable.
Well, I've been here 36 years. Came here to start the business, and thankfully the community was very receptive. There were people that were critical to the success of my business. When we started, we were just publishing a monthly business magazine. And so when you go out and the revenue that you generate comes from the advertising that is in the magazine. So if you think about that, I came here to start it. I didn't know anybody. And I would go around and call on businesses and say, I'm going to start publishing a business magazine, and I'd like you to advertise in it. And most people said, well, let me see it. But I didn't have one.
And they're like, Dan Copeland, who? Right?
You want what? But there were people who were very open, and I'll throw out the name of Dick Dormer, which you may or may not know, but Dick Dormer was a banker, a community. Talk about pillars. Dick Dormer was a pillar of this community, and Dick had the nerve to when you called his office, he ran a bank called Summit Bank, big bank, and when you called his office, he picked up the phone and answered his phone. He didn't have someone screening his calls.
Love that.
He picked them up, and unfortunately, I called him one day for him, fortunately for him, he picked up the phone. I told him what I was doing. He said, "Come on in and talk to me about it." I did, and he said, "You know what? Sign me up because I like the idea. I trust you, and plus, you're not going to make me pay for my ads until I see them in the magazine. So sign me up for the outside back cover of that thing for your first year." And it was those types of people that's what this community is made of. And I wish Dick Dormer were here today because he would be an awesome guest on this show as well. But that's so 36 years later, here we are, still doing it.
So, it's like taking a chance. And
Roll
I think
the
that's,
dice.
roll the dice. It's one of those things, people that come on this show, I think are going to be like that. They're going to be like, oh, I'll take a chance on these guys. They're maybe a little bit older, don't even know what a podcast is. And they're like, sure, I'll try it,
Yeah.
and it's, when you guys are talking about all these things, it's the network of it. It's like, networking is huge in this area. I mean, without it, like, you started from scratch, right?
Yeah.
So you had to build that network up. And I think that this will help people realize that there is a bigger network in this small community. But, yeah, where are we at here?
Yeah, what's next?
What's next? Should we ask some questions about it? Like,
Well, I think you need to. What are you naming the podcast?
oh my gosh, have we not even talked about that yet?
No, we haven't.
So
But I know you guys need to chime
here
in
is the
differently.
new podcast / digital show.
Yeah.
Between Three Rivers.
Da-da-da.
Say it together.
Say it together.
Between Three Rivers.
That's the name of our show.
Nailed it.
Because there are 3 rivers here, and we're probably in between them somehow.
Right?
Yes.
And, if you think about it, we're going to have 3 people here. Andrea's our co-producer, so she's in the guest position today. So we'll have 3 people on here, and I think it'll be really fun to... Yes, if we did talk about this, Zach Galifianakis has a show called Between Two Ferns, and he kind of makes fun of people a little bit,
Everybody.
everyone. So we'll try not to make fun of people like too much, but
Right.
we definitely want to add some humor there. So be prepared if you're watching this. You might,
Yes. If you get invited,
If you
and
get-
and you agree to be a guest, you just be prepared that there could be a couple of slightly embarrassing moments during our show.
yeah. The seats are a little warm. They're a little hot. You're on the hot seat.
You're on the hot
Exactly.
seat.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
I was at the airport, and I noticed one of your guys' signs.
Yeah.
And it said you're the triple threat. so are we going to be in the quadruple threat now?
Yeah,
you're gonna
yes.
add to it?
I think
I would
we
say
are.
that language is probably not the best language to use for an ad at the airport.
Good point.
We really
Yeah,
need
Good
maybe
point.
not.
we really need to change that.
Maybe we should change that.
Yeah, that airport is the most politically correct area, isn't it? It's like you can't
Well,
really
you don't
say
want to
much.
say you're threatening anything
Yeah.
at the airport. You know?
Right. We're not. Yeah.
And
You know, if
don't
you
leave
know-
your bag.
If you know someone named Jack and you see him at the airport, do not say hi, Jack.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, see, we're just
There's the humor.
we're presenting a little bit of humor here, right? So we're just
Very
getting,
little.
We're just getting warmed up. But I think that there were a few questions I think that we were going to ask each other. Do we have any that we want to just kind of flow with?
Oh, I got to look at my notes now.
Oh, here's one. What do you collect, Billy? Do you collect anything other than children?
That's a good one. So I was, and we should have probably known the questions first beforehand. 'cause
Well,
Yeah.
our guests are not
Yeah.
going to.
You're
know
right.
them.
You're right. That's true. I like to collect. I'm actually kind of I like to do garden stuff. Isn't that random?
I
I-
like it. I would
yeah,
have never
I-
guessed that with
yeah.
you for some reason.
I cook and I
You garden.
You
garden.
like
grow- you grow
vegetables and fruits and flowers.
vegetables, and beehives coming in next spring. So
Oh, really?
get your honey from Billy's Bees. Is that what it is? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too.
Nice, nice. Billy's
Starting
Bees.
another business.
Yeah.
Another
There's
sponsor.
another
Another
business,
sponsor.
right? Yeah, yeah, another sponsor.
They'll be buzzing all over.
That's perfect time to have a beehive come down with
Yeah.
all kinds of bees swarming
Yeah.
around it.
We did have a swarm
Digitally,
at our
digitally.
house.
Yeah.
We had a swarm at our house last year, and I had to call
Oh
a bee
my God.
person
It was
to come get them.
Huge.
It was huge.
It must have had. You have a picture somewhere, I think.
I do. I'm not going to show you. now.
Okay, I got one.
That's
I
a
got
good
one.
story.
Next question.
Do you trust your gut when it comes to things? Do you think about them, or do you just say, "Let's do it"? I mean, I know when
boy.
I asked you about the show, you're like, "Oh, sure."
Yeah, well, I don't think we should explore that subject with me because I don't trust my decision making. I do not trust it. I fear making important decisions. I feel like I've made so many wrong decisions in my life that I'm really uncomfortable making the really, really tough ones. And so it causes me to procrastinate because I'm afraid to make the wrong choice. And so the answer really is I'm not comfortable with my own thinking.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I know that I've also consulted others and asked for help in making some decisions and wound up getting some of the worst advice I could ever imagine. And so then I thought, well, maybe my choices aren't so bad after all. But no, I'm not real good with mine. That's a great question to throw right back in your lap. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I have a very if someone asks me something, like I'll just kind of go with it. Like, not saying I say yes to everything, but I also am like, I go with it.
Yeah.
And I think it comes with age though too, because I heard somebody say, in your 20s, you're kind of finding yourself. In your 30s, meet people, as many people as say yes. Mm-hmm. And then in your 40s, you're like, all right, now it's hone in, make some money, stuff like that, and get a life and all that. And then, I don't know after that, but I think that it kind of goes with that. And so, I don't know, it's just like, kind of do it. And I've found that there is a lot of things that are good when you just do it. Mm-hmm. But.
Yeah. Can you have an example?
Ooh. So, honestly, this is a good example of this show. Like, I told some people I was doing it, and they're like, what? You crazy? Like, another thing? You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, what could hurt? And then all of a sudden, you think about it, you're like, oh, there's a lot of time involved. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, all right, where am I going to fit that time in there? And then you start prioritizing everything, and you're like, well, we could just fit here and here. And that's the hardest part, is balance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you balance it all?
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to find those answers here for sure. Yeah. So, yeah. Any other questions we got? Anything?
Does anybody else want to say sweaty balls? Have you guys ever seen that Saturday Night Live skit where they say sweaty balls?
I've heard about it. I don't think I've ever seen it.
SNL.
Yep. It's SNL. They're on the radio or whatever, and
they get a mic in their hand. And they're like,
well, because the guy, he has meatballs or whatever. He sells these balls, and these two ladies are interviewing him, and they're like, we would love to touch your sweaty balls. But it's because it's the candy that he sells and the holiday time.
Sponsor number 3.
I want to apologize to everybody right now for this.
I'm like sitting here, I'm like,
She just said it. And
I know.
It's like, where did that come from?
she had in her notes, I think. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Written down.
She's drawing.
No, seriously, this made me think about that.
That's great.
Well,
Got some laughs. We got some
We didn't
laughs.
have very much time left,
No.
so I thought that's something.
Yeah, we
By
are.
the way, how much time do we have here?
Well, I got the.
It's an hour,
I
right?
was giving a rap back.
She was
here,
giving a
but you
rap
know what?
signal.
You can't see me, Dan, so
Right.
keep
Dan was not paying
talking.
attention.
No,
Yeah,
but
I
seriously.
can't see you over there, so I don't know what's going on, which is pretty normal for me.
So, okay, again, the goal of the show: bring guests on, make fun of them a little bit, but also learn from them,
Sure.
of course, because they've been through it. The do's and don'ts.
I don't know if anybody's thought of this or not, but what about educate and entertain? What about that?
That
love
sounds
it.
like something somebody in this room would have said.
I just came up with that.
You just come up with that?
Oh, wow.
Oh,
really?
stealing the spotlight.
All Dan's
Wow.
idea.
She's still in physical proximity to throw things at you.
But that's what we're doing here. We're educating while entertaining.
Hey, see, you
I do
inspired
like
Dan,
that. Yes, you did.
Yes.
and that's not easy.
I am
you
his
know.
inspiration right now.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited about this show. I can't wait. Can we talk about who we've invited yet?
Yes,
Is that
they both said yes, so they better come.
okay? So you did the invitation. So
Okay.
tell us who you've got lined up.
So I don't know if Amanda knows this, who's my wife, but our gynecologist is coming, so that'll be a fun one.
That should be great fun.
But he, okay, Dr. Escara is like the most interesting person I've ever talked to. I mean, he was telling me one time, he's like, hey, would be a great beat to music, and maybe we can use this as our starter, is the heartbeat of the baby when they're in the womb. And
Oh.
he showed us, and he's like
Exactly.
he got into it. And he was like, I've thought of that one when I was partying with Gronk. And I'm like, Gronkowski?
When I was partying with Gronk. That's a name dropper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm just sitting in this small room, talking about babies. But I think we got him. So that'll be a fun one. And then we have Chuck Sirac, who said yes.
Oh, yeah,
Who
Chuck's gonna do it.
we're in the studio with.
Right.
I think it's one of his first times coming back to the Sweetwater.
Awesome.
So that'll be cool.
Really?
Yeah. Since, but we're bringing people on as guests, and then hopefully we'll have some sponsorships and everything. So it'll be good.
I think we got to think about the gynecologist and what kind of sponsor would be perfect for a gynecologist guest.
I'm not even going to comment on that.
No, you shouldn't. You've already taken it down a notch with your.
But I do have an idea. I think that interview, you guys should all be in the bed things that we have to be in with our annual checks.
stirrups?
And I think you guys should, that's how the interview should be done.
Oh, yes.
All three of you in the stirrups.
All
being
right, I brought the
interviewed.
chairs in. I'm not bringing the.
I know this is really not probably apropos for this point in this process, but what happens to the chairs after we're done today?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Did Don bring them?
Do we have
No,
to?
we brought them.
Oh, you brought them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know where we're storing them.
Well, hopefully they have somewhere we can.
And that comes back to me being just like, hey, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, without thinking it all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't until just now that way.
okay.
With this stuff here.
So let's reel it all back here just a minute. So, first podcast with the doctor.
Okay. Dr. Francis Escara.
Excara.
Mascara.
Yep.
Okay. And when do you think this will be? January?
Yeah, let's do it in January.
I think
Let's try.
so. Yeah. Great way to start
Whenever
the new
Studio
year.
A will let us come
Yes.
back.
Yeah.
Whenever there's
If
space.
they let us come back.
Yeah.
Right.
We're all
Exactly.
looking at them in the
Yeah, like-
control
I know.
room.
Jason?
You
Good?
gave us the thumbs
Oh,
up.
thumbs
so
up. I
I'd
love it.
say
Yeah,
that's
great.
You're good to go.
Good. The sweaty balls comment didn't cause a problem. there.
Not yet. You keep trying though.
Yeah. All right. So, Between Three Rivers,
Between Three Rivers.
episode 1, the intro. How do we feel?
Season 1, episode 1. Cut.
Fly me to the moon.